They wanted to sell for tickets.
I know, that's a pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was watching so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Turn it on TV a little bit.
Yeah, I'm into all that. Well, what I sell currently. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they were there this year too.
Were they?
Yeah, yeah. They were.
No, that's
I
what
haven't done much following.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
1,400 to go to
Formula One.
So.
Yeah, Formula One is like what everybody likes. So I mean, I like it too, but I also like any racing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Kick it off. All right. Yeah. Good evening. We'll call the plan committee to order. And I will ask staff to call the roll.
Thank you. Wayne Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Devine.
Yes.
Here. Thank you. Kathleen, excused. Brian Frank
Here.
and David Rashka.
Here.
Eric Torkelson. Here. Jessica Katzenmeyer.
Here.
Brandon Reinke.
Here.
And 7 present, 1 excused.
All right, we have a quorum. We will now go to the approval of the minutes from the 23rd of July.
So moved.
Second.
If there are no changes, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved and we will go to item number 2. And I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item involves the West Dallas Aurora Hospital on 89th and Lincoln, 92nd Lincoln area. With us in the audience here, we have Terry and
George.
George, yeah, the design team in the hospital. So they're here representing what's being proposed this evening, which is basically the overall project is the goal is to relocate the ICU, which is on the 7th floor, and it's going to be relocated to the 4th floor. As part of that, work, there's a new air handling unit that's needed within the building, and just trying to get the reduce labor here on that. There we go. Good. Okay. As part of that, a new air handling unit is going to be installed within a mechanical room on the 2nd floor of the hospital. So on the very top of the screen here is Lincoln Avenue, and the side street on the right is 88th Street, and the mechanical room is roughly, well, I can't get the cursor to work, but there we go. Roughly about right here.
Yeah.
Okay,
On this point.
sure.
Be easier. So actually, the mechanical room is on the 1st floor. When you come in off of Lincoln, that's ground level,
Sure.
which is G. And then the mechanical room is right here.
Okay,
So that's the 2nd floor roof of the mechanical room. The project requires an air handling unit because on the 4th floor, it's a radiant panel heating system, which is not allowed by code in an ICU. I mean, the best place to put it would have been on the roof of the building and shoot down, but the building is packed with mechanical equipment, ductwork that's feeding all 7 floors. And the only way we can get this mechanical air handler in is in that existing mechanical room. That's the only place we can fit it. And it's a code-driven item. I mean, they don't want to spend the money on it, but they're gonna have to. And then to feed this 4th floor,
Well,
Right.
originally, Carrie, right? We had it on the roof.
we wanted it up on this roof, and then we were still gonna run ductwork down the wall to get into our space, because we
But
just,
we had it on the roof of the mechanical space too.
yes, we first had it on that 2nd floor mechanical room, and we thought that was kind of an eyesore. Let's put it
Yeah.
inside the
We were
building.
able to get it.
Hide it. The hospital currently does have white ductwork running around kind of on all sides, and we're just gonna basically pop up our ductwork here and then up the wall to feed it. And that's what we're trying to do. We weren't sure if we needed to get a blessing on it. The hospital was concerned. They didn't want to do it and all of a sudden have the neighborhood say, you guys have caused a eyesore for us. So,
yeah. I think there's been some other changes to the property over the past decade or so that, with some AC units, I think there's some tanks and some other, you can see on the first floor roof of the building there's some pretty significant mechanical units, and then further south along 88th Street, I don't think they're pictured here, but there's also a large tank and some air conditioning condensing units or something like that along, smack dab right off of 88th Street. So I think in comparison, what's proposed here is much more subdued. This is just another view from Lincoln Avenue, what you'd see above the, first, second floor area of the proposed location.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
this is straightforward. It's not an eyesore. I'd move approval.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, yeah,
You guys have already given us a demo permit. They already did that.
good,
so-
good. And you're on your way, with building. So
Yeah,
good.
we're ready to go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we
Thank you very much, everyone.
Spirit Halloween, and I'll turn it over to.
Thank you, Mayor. As Halloween approaches, Spirit Halloween is moving into the former St. Charles thrift store. They moved in this location last year at 60s. Wrong address on there if you want to.
Oh, sure.
The next
Yep.
slide. Technically, it is National Avenue because it's part of the building on, in Picket Save, so it is National Avenue. They're proposing that general retail use, 2 temporary wall signs to go with that building to show, customers where it is. Here's a look at the 2 temporary signs, one on the west facade, 112 square feet, one on the north facade, 116 or 16 square feet. That's the bottom image. This exceeds the 32 square foot maximum for temporary signs. However, the overall building is large enough to accommodate such sizing if it were not temporary signage, and signage has been previously approved, so there is a precedent for this signage at this location. With that being said, staff has a recommendation for approval for the signage plan for Spirit Halloween.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any questions?
So what is that
Oh, Go
address?
ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, why does that address say Greenfield Avenue then? If it, is
So
it
we'll
like
have
official
to
national?
confirm that on the agenda. The agenda is correct on,
Okay.
That may be, I don't know if it's,
To me, it makes sense that it's Greenfield Avenue.
it does,
Yeah.
Faces
Greenfield Avenue.
towards there, and I can see that could be confusing to people who are trying to find it or whatever. I know, how is this curious?
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move on to item 4, the car wash.
Tsunami Car Wash is mostly constructed. They are proposing multiple signs on the east facade. They have the Tsunami Car Wash logo at 21.8 square feet. Sign 2 is a car wash sign at 23 square feet. On the south side, on that bottom, you see sign 3 and 4. Those are some signage that say membership or wash, rinse, repeat, something of that matter. And both of them total around about somewhere 33 square feet. In total, all signage on this property is 122.55 square feet. And this is below the maximum of 125 square feet for wall signage and monument signage. And then in the next slide, they're also proposing a freestanding sign. This was the previous sign plan that was submitted that was not in conformance with height. However, since then, move to the next slide. They've submitted an additional proposed mock-up of the sign. However, the base is already built at 20 inches, which is 4 inches shorter than what's required by code. So they're requesting an appeal to that height of the base. However, they did modify their overall sign height to be within the height requirements for code. So you see that 120 inches, which is 10 feet. They are within these overall sign guidelines for aesthetic and height, and essentially substantially conform to all other guidelines. With that being said, staff has a recommendation for approval for the sign plan for Tsunami Express Car Wash.
Thank you. Questions? Brian?
Is there a reason why 4 inches is it just aesthetics? Or is there a legitimate reason for it?
it's just what the code has said. We settled on 2 feet back in 2007, when the code was initially changed. And
So everybody has that same height
Yeah.
all the way through, right?
so in this case, I will, as Jack mentioned, it does have a brick base, but it also has a brick sill or on the side. So, I mean, it does have a significant amount of, masonry on this sign, so. It may not have it fully, that maybe it's in 4 inches underneath, but it's made up for it, I guess, on that side pillar.
Wait,
Thank you. And you're right up for tonight's discussion. You say that the total number of signs on the building exceeds the allowable sign. You also say that exceed what is permitted by code. What kind of precedent issue are we going to have going forward?
So we've had this sign request, we've had multiple sign appeals come forth before the plan commission for more than 2 signs, which is what's permitted on this property. However, typically, we've seen a need for compliance of 125 square feet. This property would maintain 125, less than 125 square feet. That's where we've typically seen precedents. We haven't seen signs go over when there's a request for multiple signs. There is a precedent set from previous plan commission approvals for approval of 2 or more signs. However, we haven't seen them go over 125 square feet. So you most likely will see future sign appeals, but typically we've worked with the applicant in this case too to be under 125 square feet just to maintain the aesthetic appearance and then fairness to businesses being on, like, when they have 125 square feet is their maximum.
Given the fact that we have with some frequency, applicants coming here appealing signs, should our ordinance be revisited?
Yeah, so we're actually, we've been working with the city attorney. We need to pick this back up again, but we've been working with Kale, the city attorney, to modify the sign code and then adopt a new modern one, which would be less burdensome and either more flexible or just in alignment with modern sign code. This one, do you remember when the last sign code was approved?
2007.
It's from 2007, so it's due for an update, and that's
And you'll have that for us by the next meeting?
In theory.
yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Weeks. Can you clarify, because I don't have our code memorized, I apologize, but you mentioned the 125 square foot number, but that did not include the monument sign, is that?
So this,
125 is just on the building, could you clarify how those numbers?
yeah, so the numbers for the signage itself came across from the what was applied for within their sign permit itself. And the 125 square feet, that is determined by a formula of 0.8 times the linear lot frontage. So I can't remember what the linear lot frontage was off the top of my head, but it was more than 125 square feet that it was going to give. However, the upper limit is 125 square feet.
So
that's how they have that.
125 does not, the 122 that we're approving them for.
It is now, if you on the camera, I was looking for the reception.
That does not include the monument.
It does include the monument sign.
Coming back home, we have done it. Whatever done is done, they will take you back home. It's illegal. We need that now. There's something.
he's leaving. Does he want to be a member of the plan committee? Sorry. Got a motion and a second. Was your question answered? Okay, I got distracted. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you. Then we'll move on to item 5, which is an ordinance to amend code section 1942.
Thanks. So this ordinance came about as a result of a number of appeals, and we're taking a look at our zoning ordinance. And since there are a number of people frequently appealing the size limit of detached structure, these shed structures, which is currently 150 square feet. People frequently come and appeal that for something larger. And so we're taking a look at our ordinance, the zoning part of it, to increase the allowance for sheds from 150 square feet up to what we're proposing or recommending is 300 square feet. And so this is it's hard to read the bottom, basically says that it's 150 square foot limit currently, and then it has some setback requirements from side yards and the building and selling your house and stuff like that. But in comparison with other communities, West Allis is at the very sort of minimal size of what we'll allow for sheds. We're at 150 square feet, and if you look at places like, Oak Creek, Tosa, Greenfield, they're at least 100, if not more, square feet larger than us. And we're looking at just sort of bringing up our code, making it a little bit more compatible with the demand of the community, as well as in comparison to some other surrounding communities. Tosa and Greenfield are probably most closely aligned with our form of our city in terms of density and yard sizes and stuff, such like that. But in terms of our city, the lot size of our city range from about 3.7 acres down to, about 5,500 square feet. I'm sorry, about 1,300 square feet. And the median lot size is about 5,500 square feet. And then each residential lot or district has a lot coverage. In the RA 1 and 2, it's 40%. In the RA 3 district, 50%. In the RB district, which is very prevalent throughout the city, is 60% lot coverage. That means the lot coverage being the combination of your house, garage, and shed should not exceed, those percentages depending on what zoning district you're in. So just taking a look at the garage sizes, some current data, the median garage size is about 516 square feet, the minimum garage about 304, and then there's a maximum limit of 1,000 square feet, and we've got garages at really close to that. So in terms of just updating our ordinance and making it more flexible, keeping it sort of context-based with lot sizes within the city and what people want, we're taking a look at updating that portion of our residential accessory section of our code. I think it just froze up there a little bit. And speed. Just happened. Just see if I can turn the audio off. Hopefully it worked. Nope.
Is it not advanced?
It's not advancing. Oh, there. Any questions?
Coolest meeting. Is there an average size that people are building more, like what, the 150 square feet right now that you see? Like, is that a trend?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last one we had was it about 16 by 12 or something? 16 by 12. So, in consultation with our code enforcement department too, I mean, just taking a look at what people have been asking for. I don't think we need to go up to 400 square feet or make it some percentage of the lot size. I mean, I think we probably want to have a cap. And so we thought 300 square feet would be generous enough. We're doubling the size of what we allow now. And anything over 150 square feet would require a building permit through our code enforcement department. Currently, right now, if you build a 150 square foot shed and it's on a paved pad and anchored to the ground, you don't need a permit as long as it meets the zoning setbacks. So that will stay the same, but if you go over 150 square feet, a building permit will be needed. And so they'll have to meet building code as well as the zoning. So we feel 300 square feet is generous. And then in keeping with the lot coverages stated within the zoning district, we feel that combination is suitable, you know, for West Dallas. And it should help, you know, some of the board, reduce the number of board of appeals requests.
Wait,
You know, there are sheds and there are shacks. And
Seems
it seems to me that
people just
people just
throwing up, if you will,
will,
shacks
shacks or sheds or home.
is
Is
the
the
detriment
to our community.
It
It just doesn't,
it can
it can look schlocky.
It can look run
Run
down.
down.
It can
It
look
can look
trashy.
trashish.
That's a
That's a
concern
concern
I
I have.
And that, I guess as far as the building permits go, if you're over 150 square feet now, you could probably put up one Menard special, you know, something that's fairly small that you buy and maybe assemble in a few parts. But then I think as you get over that threshold in the building permits required, I mean, I think you're going to have to build something a little bit more substantial than something that's made of plastic. Probably more standard construction like a garage.
So
Part of this is to be
responsive,
responsive,
reactive,
active,
if you will,
to
the
the
community's
community's
wishes.
wishes.
People are
People are
asking
asking
for
for
this.
this.
And it's been granted through Board of Appeals to go, and the ones that we see that are larger are typically better constructed, you know, with 2x4s and, you know, carpentry versus the, you know, the kits you can buy out of a box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
questions or a motion?
Move to approve.
We are getting approval on this, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item 6.
The recovery residences is something that the city's received some complaints on certain locations within the city. I think one in particular on 121st Street. And that's the one picture in the lower, but it's, what they are governed within our state statutes under chapter 46 of the statutes. And it's it's a home-like residential environment, often within a residential home within your neighborhood. Or helping people overcome substance abuse and disorders within the community. And it's not unlike a community living arrangement like a CBRF or adult home. It's just pure support. So the group that you're in the home with is substance or, you know, drug free, and they're there to support one another to kick the habit and you know, work your way through it. So there is no on-site management or manager or nursing labor on the site. It's purely peer-to-peer types of support. So, and then we've got at least two known locations. Maybe just one right now, but it did generate some concern, and it did receive, you know, support from alderpersons to the sponsor and ordinance amendment. So that's what we're sharing with you here, what we know about it, and then kind of what our framework for how we see maybe moving forward one possible option. So in terms here, just to go through these points, aside from the possibly two locations, the zoning code is currently silent on these uses. So the idea would be that we'd want to establish a definition. We base it off of the definition within state statutes, which I'll share next. And then also, in addition to that definition, being a little bit offering some limitations or restrictions within the code as to where we want to see these things. So with the code, the state code being a little bit lax in regulation or having any teeth, we feel that it's maybe necessary in this case until the legislation changes to maybe make them a little bit, you know, more spread out and not so much in the very low density districts, but maybe allow them more so in the more higher density and commercial districts of the city. And then just some of the key characteristics from searching about, you know, learning more about these, how they're regulated in Wisconsin. by statute, but then also there are different levels out there throughout the state. 1 through 4, you can kind of see the first level one, the type we have here in West Dallas that we're aware of, are peer-run homes with no paid staff. And then as you go up in number, 2, 3, and 4, the level of staffing and monitoring increases. So for our sake, we're just sort of again taking a look at the state statutes, and we wanted to. Let me go back. I think I just skipped something here. We wanted to have a little bit more control over these things within certain zoning districts. So what we're proposing is, the definition of recovery residence is a home-like residential environment that promotes healthy recovery from substance abuse disorder and supports residents through peer recovery support in the manner described in the statute. So it's taken right out of the state statutes. That would be our definition. And then the two tiers of that we're looking at here is a recovery residence. If 8 or fewer, it would be considered a limited use within the multifamily, that's the RC district. And then 3 of our 4 commercial districts is a limited use. If it goes over, if it's 9 or above, then it becomes a conditional use. And that would require both planning commission and common council public hearing. So in that case, the neighborhood gets involved, can ask questions and comment on the use. It doesn't mean the council can deny that use, but we can certainly take a closer look at it, and deeper dive into it, and question operators, and council can certainly then instill or require certain reasonable conditions of that operator for those that are 9 or above. In terms of calls for service, the police department's looked at this, and in summary, there's only been a total of 7 calls over the past year and a half. One of those calls resulting in arrest. The details are up above here, but most recent call was in early June for what I think was somewhat of a disorderly conduct, and the police, it did not materialize into arrest. The second was I think in 2025. There was a call for removal of a resident, and I think it was later learned that the warrant was because the person's battery died on their ankle bracelet. The calls for the most part, were something that generated a police call, but didn't necessarily rise to the level of an arrest. So I wouldn't say it's a huge problem within the city, but it is something that isn't defined within our code currently. And we can't interpret it as a community living arrangement. I mean, we could, but if it ever results in an enforcement issue, we can't enforce a recovery residence the same way as we do a community living arrangement, just because the state statutes define these two things completely differently. So we think it's important, nevertheless, maybe to define this at a minimum, and then establish some standards within our code as to how to regulate these. And that was sort of depicted here with 8 or fewer, 9 or more, in only specific zoning districts. So, any questions? Wait.
Mr. Mayor, Steve, where are the 2 locations in West Dallas?
88th and Maple, and 121st, and I want to say like in the Holt area, a little bit north of Holt.
It might be
33
or Ohio.
Yeah, or
There
Ohio.
was a facility on, maybe it's not the same thing, on 119th.
That's different.
That's a different
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah, that's a group home.
Yeah, that was like a CBRF. Yeah. Those the state statute will allow you to separate those. 2,500 feet, and there's a little more control with those within the state statutes, and then our zoning ordinance adopts that control through the statutes. Whereas these are not as, they have some feel good terms in the state statute, but it's not really something that is tangibly enforceable.
Sorry, the one in 121st kind of towards Euclid or Burdick. And it was a home sale from private residents and then this entity from, I think, Florida.
I thought
I thought it's gonna be now.
Well, now I think it's for sale again,
Yeah.
but it caused quite a few concerns from some of the neighbors.
Yes.
Police taking people away.
Yeah.
Showing up. And things like that.
Just
Just step back in.
The one on
119
Mhm.
is
is
controlled
by some other statute.
It's controlled, that's a licensed facility that's controlled through.
There's somebody living there,
a person
in
in charge.
charge.
Yeah, there's typically nursing care, a staff that comes in and, you know, checks on people and makes sure.
I think it was about 15 or 20 years ago that
Chief
Chief Dean Pushnick
led
led a blistering battle to keep that out. But he lost the battle.
And it's,
And that's it.
but it
But
hasn't been a problem
as far as I know. They're your neighbors.
Pretty much.
I know,
I know.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
If these are, I'm understanding you correctly, these are not licensed by the state,
Correct.
how do you, how does the city know they exist? What would be the parameters that somebody would have to come forward with? Is that just honor system? Does it operate as a business?
So the Department of Health Services does register these places, but I couldn't find them. I couldn't find the two that we think we have here in West Dallas registered with DHS. So I think it's like a voluntary kind of thing. If you register, but if you don't register, so the statute that governs these things isn't really, doesn't have much.
Yeah, so my question is how is this enforceable on our end?
The part that would be enforceable would be where we want to see these things located. So there's by the zoning district and then requiring a property owner registration. So at least the property owner that is running this, they're running it. They're either the landlord leasing it to one of these room and board places, or they're running it themselves, and then we would have a contact.
Yeah, that's my, at what point?
Yeah.
Could somebody just come in and buy a house and just start it? There's no way that the
Yeah.
city knows. And what's the process for, where's the enforcement, or how do we?
As a conditional use too, I think the council does actually have a bit more control. I mean, we could, so they would, as a conditional use, the council would require everything that's, you know, stated here, the zoning district are allowed in, and then the property owner registration plus additional layers of rules if they, you know, if it's reasonable. I mean, they can't say, well, we don't want them, but it has to be somewhat reasonable based on the operation.
Is there a reason not to make them both conditional use?
It's definitely an option. Yeah, it's certainly an option. I mean, the one thing I would say is that we do treat, and it's a little bit different, but we do treat community living arrangements. I mean, if it's 8 or fewer, we treat it like any other single family home. It doesn't require conditional use. So, but in this case, I think you probably could make that case for it because the state statute is a little bit flimsy for these. I think that may be
CBRF staff.
Yeah.
And it's licensed and regulated in the state, where this sounds like it's kind of the Wild West.
So I mean, that is a good point, David. I think you bring up a good option that we should maybe present to council. I mean, you know, this could be one option, and then the purely conditional use could be a second option. I mean,
then at least, I mean, they don't have to set ultra stringent conditions on it, but it gives them, at least it has to be presented, and we have to know what's happening and what is gonna be done to make sure that it's safe for the neighborhood and that.
We know how many people are living in each one of these?
The two West Dallas ones that I found, went to the Oxford House, which is, I think, a certain brand or company that runs these things, but they indicated both West Dallas locations having about nine persons. And I think the way these things run best, according to some, you know, internet searches, it seems like anywhere between 6 to 15 people seems to be like a manageable peer support. I mean, if you get over and above that, then I think you have to start getting staff involved and stuff like that. But I mean,
Also, all these people are living there at one time. That make it
yeah.
3 or 4 bedroom home.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's a good idea to have some sort of regulations on it. Some central control, knowing where these places are, and hopefully that'll ease some of the concerns of the residents too living in those areas.
Wait,
I'm not
I'm not sure why we're talking about this, given that
You've
you've written up in the tonight's report that the common council is working on an ordinance.
Well, we're gonna present an ordinance to council. I mean, right now, we're just running it, we're vetting it through the planning commission, and we wanna get your feedback, and then we can share that, we can forward that feedback to the common council with the actual formal ordinance. And we can give them option 1, option 2, option 3, however many you'd like to see us put forth. Again,
Brian?
So making a bold conditional use and having a limit on people that are there.
yeah. Yeah.
Is that what we're?
So
looking
yeah,
at?
the next option could be simply just, recovery residents, regardless of the number of people, and then just conditional use, and then we're comfortable with the 4 zoning districts listed there, which are multifamily and 3 commercial districts. I mean, that would be a plan. Or if you wanted to limit the number of districts further,
I don't know about limiting the number of districts, but if it's a 3-bedroom home and you got 12 people there.
Well, that's where I think
That's
it should
what I
always
think
be conditional use, because I think if they're gonna present, this is how many residents we have, then they should bring a floor plan and justify how they're.
Or
gonna
at least say,
Accommodate that it's
you're
not.
we're limiting, you limit 10
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
2 people per room.
Yeah, because again, the CBRF code clearly dictates you need so many square feet per person, they need their own room or 2 per room, and you need so much common
Which
area
is-
space to accommodate those people if they have a living room or a kitchen or space outside of, it's not like a.
But this is like more like, rehab. Like,
Yeah, well, some of the
it's
rehab,
after that,
yeah, some of the rehab does fall under the CBRF code, but this,
but this is like after this. So this is
Yeah.
willingly going to these prices.
Right.
Is what it sounds like.
yeah, so I would support conditional use in all cases, but
So, hey, Steve, so why would you want to restrict, some of, further like the zoning areas?
I just, I guess the way we do it with the community living arrangements is we actually have more zoning districts involved with the community living arrangements, but then again, the statutes are a little bit more robust. So in this case, and again, just based on the statutes being a little weak, I think it's a good idea to maybe limit the number of districts and then, offer that, maybe make them all conditional use. I think that's a good direction. I mean,
Yeah, I would agree with that. So you're kind of saying like limit the number of like areas that you could have this in.
yeah, so that's
And-
what
and
this
it's all- and
does.
it's
Yeah,
all going to be conditional use.
all CUP, yeah.
I mean, it's up to the common council.
And wouldn't you want to have like kind of language be real restrictive at first, right? To negotiate, if you had to negotiate it down rather than make it kind of broad. I don't know, I mean,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
for
this-
like discussion purposes.
This will definitely limit it to 4 districts and then property registration requirement. And, I guess if council wants to impose additional stuff, like we want to see a floor plan, and well, you're probably gonna get a floor plan anyway if they're gonna do a building permit
Yeah, right.
to modify parts of the building, plumbing, electric, rooms,
Yeah.
walls. So, I mean, I think this is just a good starting point.
I agree.
And
I think, so we want them to register, right? Is
Yeah.
that what the language says?
yeah,
Can we require a plan of operations too?
sure. Yeah.
I mean, again, just a suggestion for them, but then at least they can say, this is how many people we plan to have, this is the space we have, this is how we're gonna make this work.
And then we'll go through planning commission and then through the common council.
If it was a conditional use, it would come before.
Right.
So-
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I mean, because there were some things in the state statutes about being a good neighbor, and it's kind of like, it's like, but there wasn't, it's kind of like a feel good kind of thing. It wasn't really saying anything. So,
And then if like one of these living arrangements is having like a consistent problem, how does that get addressed in at the municipal level? Like, right, I mean, we'll just say fighting, perhaps there's a little drug use going on that's been uncovered, right? I mean, I'm taking the
Yeah.
extreme approach.
I think it's to make the case for like a nuisance property, and that would be generated through like police calls and the severity of the police calls and how those, are we chronically arresting people out of this place, or,
Right, yeah.
noise issues disturbing the peace, they just build the case, and unfortunately a neighbor has to endure that for a little while, but I mean, yeah.
But I mean, it
But
could,
there would be a path to, declaring a nuisance property and then, you either solve the problem or, maybe the conditional use could be reconsidered at a future, at a future hearing.
You don't need a motion on this, just discussion.
I think,
It's like the previous.
if plan commission would like to make a motion with maybe the directive that you'd like us to pursue, I mean, we'll share that with council. I mean, they like to hear from you guys, so.
Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
With,
You have a motion and a second with the
with-
conditions discussed.
with one option, two options, I mean, we got right now, there's the option that we put forth, but then I think the option that Dave was mentioning with
I would.
conditional use with the property registration and the plan of operations. Okay,
Friendly.
all right, good, all right.
Friendly seconds.
All right. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Then we have item 7, a sign and plan appeal for Slingshot Bar.
Thank you, Mayor. We have another sign permit plan. Reflects a need for a change in the sign code, but they're proposing 3 wall signs at the former Castech building. The Slingshot Bar maintains that they want to be open sometime in October. And they're moving along forward with their signage. At the former Castech building, they had, as you note, they kind of have a marquee kind of structure. Might be the next slide.
Yep.
They're proposing the Slingshot logo for the bar in the same spot as that where the Castech logos were. Those signs are each 33.75 square feet. And then they're also proposing 132 square foot sign on the west facade shown in the bottom image. Staff is working with the applicant, Nick, to make that sign either conform or get rid of that sign entirely. And they've been agreeable to that. They just haven't updated their overall design for that yet. They are proposing this to have more visibility while being below the maximum signage area allowed. In this case, it's 111 square feet. They aren't proposing a monument sign. These are the only signs in the property. However, there is a mural in works, but that's going to more so advertise the brewers rather than the business itself. With that being said, staff has a recommended motion of approval for the sign plan appeal for Slingshot Bar.
It's the same thing as the tsunami anyways, right?
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, it's below signage, but above the amount of signs per code. We just passed the tsunami one.
Correct.
Move to approve this.
second,
Dave?
You should mark me as an abstention from this.
Wait.
Jack or Steve, you said your organization has continued to work with the applicant regarding conforming wall sign. Has that been concluded?
It has not been concluded yet. However, they are aware that they will need to have a conforming wall sign. Essentially, this appeal is just to have a wall sign on that facade itself. So whatever sign that comes forth before staff, it has to approve. We would deny the bottom sign if it were in that design, if they wanted to move forward with that.
So even if we approve this, you will continue to work with them to get this correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Agreed.
And we'll give you an update at
All
the
right.
next plan commission meeting.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, and we'll move to item 8.
Thanks. We have project tracking our, the access, which is the development on 92nd and Greenfield, the old St. Al's, moving along. Demo's near complete and they've applying for building permits for the lower half, which is the garden townhomes on the lot 2 on the southern portion. Last plan commission meeting, we talked about we had a lengthy discussion about the buildings, and the exterior architectural materials, and behind you here, I can pass around the sample board that's been submitted as part of our planning commission. The combination of different materials, but largely fiber cement panels and also like a wood. They have different textures, a wood lap siding, a brown wood lap siding panels. There's the, on the base level of the building, they have the, fiber cement sandstone, which would be on the lower level. And then different wood type of materials here, like a simulated wood on the exterior of the building. And then the color, the sort of liveliness of the color that they're sort of pitching on the mid-rise building. So this is all the mid-rise materials over here, and then these are the garden homes over on this side. I think I pass that around if you like.
One of the complaints, excuse me.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. One of the complaints was the whiteness of the buildings.
Mhm.
It's just.
Yeah.
Just white. Has that been addressed?
Yeah, I mean, they've addressed that on the, it's probably easier to see on the backside here. On the south elevation, I think was one of the concerns. See if I'm looking at the right side here. This part here there was a lot more white paneling, and they added the, this darker color on the up above, the darker color, and that sort of carries through the rest of the building. I'm not sure if this elevation was shown at or rendering was shown at the meeting, but I think we had a little bit of mix up in the PowerPoint presentations. But what they've done is they've added the darker color on the upper portion of the building, and then it points on the east and west sides of the building. And then there's this wood look sort of transition between the lighter colors and the darker colors. One of the other significant things was on the northeast corner of the building. There was a roof feature like this with a terrace area up above. Here it is. So this is what you saw at the last one. They replicated that on the northeast corner of the building. As you can see here, looking at it from 92nd and Greenfield, they added this up above. Now, while that's not a common area amenity, that's actually somebody's unit. It does, in terms of the design, it does replicate that same feature that's on the northwest side, on the northeast side. So I think it gives it a little bit more pop on the, from the intersection 92nd and Greenfield. And in addition, I think by adding the darker color up on the top, I get the lighter accent material, green accent materials, panels. I think it does offer some contrast. There was also a concern about, is the white going to show its, discoloration over time? And sure, I suppose that's possible, but the applicant also shared a number of different products that they've built over the past 10 years, some of which have the sort of the same color pattern with the light dark color pattern. And, they still look good. So, they could get dirty, but I mean, I suppose there's also a power washer. I think the West has recently gone over with a power washer, in the past couple of weeks where they're cleaning the exterior of the building. So that's always an option to, if there is some road dirt or that on the building, it can be cleaned up.
And has Alderperson Grisham been kept informed?
I have not. I think she's been copied on this email, but I have not personally called her and followed up. But I mean,
Given the fact that she made a point of coming here,
Mhm.
expressed a lot of her views and
Sure.
her constituents' views.
Yeah.
I think you ought to call her.
I will do so.
And not that she is the yes or no person on it, but I'd like to be sure that she's informed. And as a totally, as an aside, because I forgot, what's that outlier building? The one that remained,
That's
who does that belong to?
Gonzaga Village, which is a senior home, and I think there's some former nuns or priests that may live in that building, but it's senior living.
And it has nothing to do with this project.
It's a separate lot entirely, separate ownership. Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate them making the gesture on the corner that I heard them about last time.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way. I would have liked to have seen some more actual masonry on the building with all the masonry that they're removing from the site. So I feel like the fiber cement sandstone doesn't cut it for one masonry. I've said my piece last time.
Right. Working through the slides here, but Just some other updates. Land by Label on 70th and Washington is underway, well underway. They're putting windows in. Across the street, the old Blocky Sign Company was recently sold to the state DOT. They took out their storage building here for the new West Allis Chalmers Way, and they're relocating their operations to 70th and Washington, across the street from Land by Label. This is called the Apiary is the name of this project. It's underway. Waterstone Bank is also close to being finished. The windows are in and things are taking shape. So that concludes the project updates and tracking. And if there's any other questions.
What is the status of La Finca? I know that came before us like earlier in the year.
Yeah, it's been approved, and I don't know
It's been quiet.
where La Finca is at. I mean, I think the last I heard, they were working on with their bank to try to put it all together and, tighten up their cost estimates and get things moving.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice second location. I've been to the one in St. Francis and
Yeah,
it's
it is nice.
very
Yeah,
welcoming. And,
good food,
Yeah,
good
exactly.
drink. Yeah, exactly.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned. Thanks. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Jack, have a good evening.